second edition indeed of the Commerce After COVID-19 webinar series. It's a delight to have you connect with many others across different locations over the global community. The energy sector has contributed significantly to the development of economies of different countries within and outside of Africa. Energy has proven to be an inexhaustible resource as it is converted into various streams, including natural gas, coal, and even electricity. Since the outbreak, several local communities in different towns in Africa have been subjected to an unprecedented streak of power outage, with classrooms shut and marketplaces experiencing a reduction in trade performances. A good portion of African families have been cast into, there is this echoing coming, has been cast into a tunnel of darkness with no hope of light. Okay, the echoing is still coming, Honorable. Okay, it stopped. Into a tunnel of darkness with no hope of light anytime soon. Yet, on the business end, industries affiliated with the economic sector are having to invent new ways to counter the potential adverse outturns of a reduction in gross income in the energy sector. With lockdowns imminent on most cities, there is a limit to just how much stakeholders can do. We are gathered today to assess insights into what is at stake for affected individuals and industries. How much has the outbreak affected electricity supply across Africa? What are the new options the African community must consider in the days following COVID-19? We must begin to look into improved ways for energy efficiency. In the last edition, we review the impacts of COVID on the economic and trade sector and strategic ways affected individuals and industries. And we had Roshonda Johnson, a business development specialist, who was a speaker at the first edition, who is also here today, still trying to get logged in as a panel. We also have the distinct pleasure of having Honorable Idris Mohammed, a special assistant on hydroelectric power related project, and our distinguished rising shining star, intellectual woman of substance, Mrs. Rolake Akinkugbe-Filani, the MD, Energy Inc. Advisors. We believe that this meeting would provoke a radical shift in our mindset towards the energy industry as we chat new courses in the possibilities available through energy. Thank you very much for joining us, and we hope you have a good time during this conversation. And it won't just be a conversation, it will be action-oriented conversation. So having given you a little background to why we're here and why we're doing what we are doing as a company, energy we know is needful in every area, whether be it in the entrepreneurial life or in a professional life. Energy is a source that is so needful everywhere. And we have all these distinguished panelists that will be talking to us and helping us walk through some of the answers that we need to better see how do we make this energy that is so rare, how do we make it to be available and be ready for us to use. Before I get them to come on the panel, I will be reading their bios, not in any particular order. I will read their bios, and then we can get them to come on and we'll ask them a few questions, and you all get to ask questions, and then we proceed from there. The first panelist is Honorable Idris Mohammed. Idris is presently a special assistant to the Honorable Minister of power on Mambila hydroelectric power project in Nigeria. He was the immediate past managing director and CEO of Kaduna Electricity Distribution Company. Idris has worked in several capacities at different times as power infrastructure consultant and also with international investors who are currently engaged in various projects in Nigeria's power sector. Idris is also a government lobbyist. We welcome you, Honorable Idris Mohammed.
Thank you for having me, Remy.
You're welcome. The second panelist is Mrs. Rolake Akikube Filani, the Managing Director, Energy Inc. Advisors, Senior Africa Advisor, IFU Danish Investment Fund. Recently recognized as one of top 275 female executive global influencers of the UK's Women Energy Council, Rolake is a leading infrastructure and finance executive who has built a track record of helping to finance, invest in, and successfully scale businesses across Africa. With over 15 years professional experience, she is adept at building strong partnerships with private and public clients in Africa and all over the world, and has extensive experience in strategy, deal origination and execution, investment appraisal, and mobilizing and coordinating multi-stakeholders teams. She currently provides strategic consulting services to infrastructure businesses seeking African growth and expansion as managing director at Energy Inc. Advisors, and founded a non-profit social enterprise helping alternative energy SMEs scale and raise capital. She's also currently the Senior Africa Advisor to Development and Finance Institution. I can go on and on and on. That is Mrs. Rolake Akikube, who I don't see on the screen right now. I don't know what technology is doing this morning. The third speaker that we have is Miss Rashanda Johnson. She is a business development specialist in the Office of Development Credit at the U.S. International Development Finance Corporation. As business development specialist, Rashanda focuses on counseling U.S. companies seeking financing, evaluating new project proposals and loan applications, and developing new business opportunities. We welcome all of you today to this panel, and we are hoping that the next few minutes that we have together, that we will be able to really dive in and ask some questions and hope and wish that we will get some answers that will help us to do what we need to do today. And I see everybody is on the panel. Honorable Idris Mohammed is on, and we have all our three speakers. I don't know if you had your bios when they were read. We are very honored and happy to have each and every one of you take time out of your busy schedule and to be here with us today. We do not take it for granted because we know your work and what you do as professionals, and taking time out of your busy schedule will be forever cherished by us. So I have a few questions that I know you're wondering, what do we even do? What is our business with energy as Legacy Premier Foundation? I know that people are wondering, why are we doing this? Everything that we do as people, as human beings, as businesses, has a direct or indirect linkage to power solutions. And we just decided that with this COVID-19, with the feedback that we've been getting from our mentees, our businesses, our partners, more than ever, we know that power is a solution that we need to find answers to. So how can we empower energy poverty. I want each and every one of you to please go around. I've read your resume. I know I didn't do justice to all of it. Give us a 2-minute spiel about who you are and what you do. And we can start with anybody wants to go first. Honorable Idris, would you like to go first? And then we would
Yes,
then go around the room.
Remy, thanks for having me on this special program. And as usual, it's my delight to participate in anything that you do. Certainly, it has a lot of substance to people, and I believe that the choice of this topic for this particular discussion is quite a very interesting one, because in every home that you go, there is electricity. People are enjoying electricity. Let me start by what I do. At the moment, I'm special advisor, not assistant, to the Honorable Minister of Power in Nigeria. Basically, the responsibility of the Minister of Power is to ensure that electricity supply is extended, or all homes have access to electricity, using, of course, companies that are already established, specialized companies that are charged with different responsibilities. Like we have the transmission company in Nigeria. The transmission company in Nigeria is charged with the responsibility of evacuating power supply from the source of the generation. It is their responsibility to ensure that the distribution companies, that is the retail end of the power chain, is connected to an effective and quality power supply. And then you also have the first point of call, which is the value chain. The generation companies, I'm sure that without power generation, transmission companies will have nothing to evacuate. And when the power is generated, transmission company will not evacuate the power, and then supply the power to distribution companies, and then those distribution companies at the retail end will make sure that homes are connected to electricity. With that at the back of mind, and considering the negative impact of COVID-19, we have been having a lot of challenges in terms of having access to electricity in Nigeria, particularly in areas where there are issues of, access to power. The distribution companies are not able to have the required quantity of power supply that they need to extend to homes. So what this means is that the COVID, quite a lot of homes, indigent homes, do not have electricity as we speak, because the electricity that is generated is not enough to extend to every home. So a lot of customers who reside in rural areas are having challenges, having access to power. But instead, there is an agency of government, the Rural Electrification Agency. They have introduced some sort of strategies that have been giving positive results in enabling access to power in Nigeria. I know that the former managing director, who is at the moment an undersecretary in the United Nations in charge of energy, she was very creative, innovative, and introduced the energizing universities. That is a concept that ensures that universities in Nigeria, a selected number of universities in Nigeria, are given priorities, and then off-grid power plants, are built up to ensure that power is being supplied at an off-grid level. And interestingly,
My
that's
distinguished honorable sir, may I please ask honorably that maybe you have one system off so that we're getting a lot of echo and we want to not miss any of your great information. Maybe one of it can be off and maybe that would lessen the echoing, because we really want to not miss anything that you're telling us, which will be going viral after this session. Thank you, sir.
okay. That's fine. I hope. Are you having any improvement in it now?
Sir?
Do you still have interruption?
Yes, we're getting echoing. We were just thinking that the technical people were saying that maybe if we have one of your devices off, that might strengthen the one that you want to rely on, and maybe we would even get a chance to have your picture show up. But either way, your clarity of communication is more important, so people can hear what you have to say. Thank you, sir. Sorry about the interruption.
Let me know if you are having improvement in the quality of voice.
Yeah, it's better now, right this minute. Yes.
Is it okay now?
It's better now, sir. Yes, for right
Okay,
now.
so
Yes.
all the systems are off. I've switched them off. I hope you can hear me. Now, the concept or strategy of energizing education, I mean, energizing university communities, that system has worked and it is still working. And with that strategy, universities now have 24 hours uninterrupted power supply. That is a remarkable achievement in meeting power supply in Nigeria, especially in universities where most times they have issues of having power 24 hours. And the same strategy that was used in providing power to the universities, the markets, is called energizing market. Now, markets in Nigeria, before this strategy was introduced by Damilola, and have had serious issues, have even forgotten when they will last see power supply from their homes, But with this new strategy of energizing markets, quite a number of the markets that were selected as pilot scheme for this program, as we speak today, they have 24 hours uninterrupted power supply. And what this means is that universities and markets where, the energizing strategy is used, renewable energy through renewable energy options, it means that employment in those areas have been sustained to a very large extent. Students are happy now because they can go to school, they don't have to buy lanterns, and they can read from morning to night, 24 hours for those who really want to read. And in the markets too, storage, for instance, agricultural products, market products that have had issues of storage. Now they have enough power to store their commodities in the market without going bad. So the economic of scale is working out pretty well for the strategy. I like to inform our listeners and panelists that the Honorable Minister of Power, Engineer Saleh Amma, has embraced this strategy of energizing universities, energizing markets. So energize is for real estate developers. Real estate developers have embraced this concept. So for their property developments, they now have the off-grid power.
Honorable, you're still breaking off a little bit, but I think at this point too, I wanted to have everybody go around to do a brief intro of themselves I'm still going to come back to individuals to tell us. And I'm really excited to hear that there could be 24/7 uninterrupted power in a university. And of course, people would want to read. That is encouraging. That's the best news of a long time that I've heard. I'm really excited, and we want to hear more about it. But at this point, I want to go over to Mrs. Rolake Akikugbe Filani to also do a brief introduction of who she is and all the powerful things that she's making happen globally. Over to you, Rolake.
Right, thank you very much, Mrs. Dile, and hello everybody. My name is Rolake Akingwe Filani. It's great to be here with the distinguished panelists, Honorable Mohammed and Ms. Rashanda Johnson. Good to meet you both, and thanks for the invite, Mrs. Dile. So perhaps maybe Honorable Mohammed, you're unmuted. You might want to put one of your devices on mute because I can hear some background noise. Well, I've been working in the energy sector and on the energy sector for more than a decade. I started my career covering predominantly hydrocarbons and fossil fuels. And over the last decade, I pivoted gradually to merge my core expertise with renewable and alternative energy solutions, particularly for the African market, recognizing the importance of the energy transition debate to our economies here on the African continent. I think for me, I've been focused in my work on capital raising and funding solutions for the energy space, and also looking at new business models in the space. So I'm advising a lot of companies that are looking to pivot and actually develop sustainable business models through the energy transition. I think before we come back around to the discussion, there were just like 4 or 5 key broad trends that I've observed that I think are very relevant to the energy debate, the energy access debate. As we're very aware, SDG 7 is about a decade away. 2030 is when the UN SDGs are to have been achieved. It's a tall order, if you ask me. If we bring it down to the African continent, around 600 million Africans are still without sustainable, affordable, reliable energy. But I think one of the things that we've seen during this COVID-19 era is, number one, the importance of off-grid electrification for underserved consumers and communities. I've noted in particular the importance of, fast to deploy off-grid solutions for the healthcare sector, for instance. We're facing a global pandemic, a public health crisis. I think it's important that the goals of SDG 7 increasingly look at those sectors that really have a serious and emergency need for energy. And I think actually alternative energy and off-grid and distributed energy solutions have been quite key to meeting that need. The second thing I would say broadly is the importance of finding what is the relevant mix of energy for each African economy. I work here in Nigeria. Nigeria is a country that has over 200 trillion cubic feet of gas reserves. We can't just dismiss that fact because of the debate around climate change. So what we need is to look at what is the economic imperative for our own economic structure. And I'm a big advocate of, if we have to continue to mine and utilize fossil fuels, that we find more sustainable means of doing so in conjunction with alternative energy sources. I think the next point I wanted to highlight is the fact that there are a lot of new and emerging players in the alternative energy space who have faced significant economic and business challenges as a result of the lockdown, social distancing. For instance, we're seeing an increasing growing recognition of governments to see alternative energy solutions as constituting emergency services in a lockdown situation. And I think for me, it's really looking at how we segment the different markets of customers. So, people talk about social distance and isolation, and I talk about the fact that a large proportion of the world's poor are already socially isolated because they do not have sustainable energy access. So really the questions we have to try and answer is, what does our economy need? Nigeria today needs industrialization on a large scale. Renewable energy solutions may not be able to meet that need in the short term. Perhaps what we need to do is look at investing in gas and gas infrastructure to serve industry. However, when we bring it to the commercial domain, we are seeing that commercial and industrial customers are increasingly taking to solar PV solutions. And then residential consumers are using a mix of different solutions, so hybrid that leverage on the national grid, that leverage on renewable energy sources. And in many cases, you know, we have quite a large off-grid market here, which is the diesel-powered generator market. Now, that has environmental challenges, but I think what this essentially highlights is that there are different needs, and what we need to find is the optimal energy mix and balance for African economies. And I think those are some of the issues I would like to explore further. And then finally, really, how do we then fund and find the right sources of capital to scale these initiatives and to scale these ideas? And I look forward to discussing a bit better later. Thank you.
Thank you so very much for that opening remarks. Of course, how do we find the funding and so forth? And that takes us to our next speaker, Ms. Roshanda Johnson. I've done her introduction earlier. Roshanda is from the DFC. Roshanda, please take it away for the next few minutes. Let us know what you do and how you are part of this conversation.
Well, excellent. Thank you, Remy. And thank you for the invitation to participate. And it's great to be connected with
We're not hearing you so well, Roshanda.
Also speaking on the panel. So as you mentioned earlier, I work for the DFC, which is the U.S. government's development finance institution. And we partner. Okay. Let's see, is that better? For me, can you, hello?
We're not hearing you so well. Your words are like dragging and squiggly and not coming out the way you're saying it. So I'm not sure why that is. We can take it again, please.
Okay, it may be my connection. Is that better? Okay.
We can hear you now, yes. Maybe it's your connection, yes.
Okay. So I work for the U.S. government's Development Finance Institution, and just recently we support the private sector by providing financing as well as political risk insurance. And so our role in this is, supporting the private sector, those entities that have an expertise in power generation, as well as connecting folks to the grid. So that's the way that we support. We support them through providing financing as well as insurance.
Thank you so much, Roshanda. That we've had all your opening remarks. We clearly know that we're in the right place with people who not only have information, they have expertise and they have experience and they have solutions. So I'm excited that all of you took time to be with us today. And I know questions are already floating in the Q&A, but I want to start with a question. Some people sent in some questions before today. How can we end energy poverty? And we can start with you, Mrs. Akikugbe-Filani. We'll let you go first. How can we end that? And 2 minutes so everybody else gets a chance to chime in.
Wow. Okay. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you for that question. I mean, I guess how long is a piece of string, right? Energy poverty is so multifaceted, right? Because it has to look at both the demand side and the supply side, because, and what do I mean by that really briefly is one of the key ways of ensuring that you're able to meet demand is to ensure that you have adequate and secure supplies. So you can't talk about energy poverty without talking about energy security and energy independence, which is something that countries like the United Nations have, the United States, I beg your pardon, have secured for their economies over many decades. As we know, the US is an increasing exporter of oil and gas globally. And I think really within the African context, and specifically I speak to Nigeria, we have to start in what is the best utilization of our resources. One of the things we need to very quickly do is invest in local infrastructure. Because one of the ways we impoverish ourselves from an energy perspective as a country is that we're so dependent on the import of fossil fuel-based petroleum products. As you know, Nigeria has been subsidizing petroleum consumption at the pump for many, many years, and this leads to leakages and wastage, money that could be better spent in social services and social development. So I feel that is a type of energy poverty in terms of energy security. When we look at consumer and the consumer base, so industry, commercial, residential, SMEs, it's really around 3 or 4 key metrics. What is sustainable? What is affordable? What is reliable? Right now, 70% of Nigerian consumers are essentially off-grid, i.e. they use generators, which is backup power. And in fact, there's a running joke locally that the generator is the main source and that the grid is actually the backup because of how dire the situation has become. So first of all, we need to look at energy poverty from an affordability perspective. We've seen that over the years, the cost of solar panels, the levelized cost of electricity generated from the sun has actually decreased. So alternative energy solutions are becoming more cost competitive with hydrocarbons-based solutions. But that is not translating into an uptake in the market, and there's several reasons for that. First, of course, there's consumer awareness around what the alternatives are. The second is really around regulation and policy, and whether within the countries that we work and living and do business with, there is a stable legal or regulatory framework for people to invest in alternative solutions. And then really, it's around, once you then get those solutions in, how do you then sustain the consumption over time? So I, for instance, I'm a very big advocate, because I worked in finance, of looking at consumer finance products. The same way as a consumer, I would buy a house and I need a mortgage to finance my ownership of that house. So if you're serving as a solar energy company or a developer serving underserved communities, it's really around affordability. The huge or initial upfront cost of investing in equipment can be amortized or paid back over time. So we need to work with stakeholders in the public and private sector to come up with solutions that make it easier for consumers to embrace those solutions and then to sustain the consumption of those alternatives and, more frankly, environmental friendly solutions over time. So I think those are the 2 aspects of energy poverty I would talk on. And the final thing maybe I'll just throw out there, and this is something we need to discuss, is really around energy efficiency and how we can move towards greater consumer awareness and stakeholder awareness around energy efficiency, because the more energy efficiency we see, it brings down costs over time, and it means that disposable incomes can then be spent on other economic activity. So I think those would be my initial contributions. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your great comments, Ms. Rolake. I really appreciate that. Honorable Idris, over to you, sir. Honorable? You're on mute. Let's see if I can, let me unmute him.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, now we can hear you. Yes, sir. Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay. I said I'm just going to add to, I can't agree more with Rolake. Yes, issue of course cannot be completely divulged from power business, but like she mentioned, that in Nigeria, a source of power, a huge percentage of power that you see in homes are generated through independent sources. But what is really working out and that's cost effective right now is the solar investment in the solar power industry. And quite a lot is going on in Nigeria now. And homes, like I said, for the government is actually embracing this off-grid power supply solution. And because the experiment has worked almost 95% in universities and markets, and then the cost of electricity, it has brought down the cost of electricity in the universities, in the markets. Therefore, that should be extended to other underserved communities. And then when you extend that service to underserved communities, it means that, number one, there will be an increase, a remarkable increase in the number of customers, who will now have access to electricity. And as a result of having access to electricity, a lot of business opportunities will begin to open. So for rural areas, yes, that will work out well. And because there is an opportunity to create employment, that will cut the rural to urban migration. And for the gas investment in the power sector, I hope Rolake and others are listening. In Nigeria, the President, Muhammad Buhari, about 3 weeks ago, commissioned a humongous, gigantic gas-fired project from Ajaokuta in the base of Nigeria to Kano. Kano is the commercial, just like Lagos, Kano is the commercial city, it's next to Lagos in Nigeria. And the essence of that huge gas project is, number one, to ensure that power is made readily available, the quality of power is good, and then also lots and lots of business opportunities is expected to blossom. So yes, we are looking at options for gas investment as a very good solution to power supply in Nigeria, Rolake. So come to Nigeria, invest, partner and support our investors who are keen. They have bankable feasibility studies. All you need to do is to support them with the financial assistance so that the negative effect of COVID-19 will be reduced substantially. And I believe that's the best way to go. Even in America, in Asia, in certain regions of the world, I believe that is the way to cut down on the level of poverty that is currently going on. Especially in America, I hear it's so bad. Quite a number of people are going out of jobs almost every day. What are you going to do with them? What are you going to provide for them? What are those options that they can embark on? They can look at these other sources, these new sources of power solution, and then partner with people like in Nigeria.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much, Honorable. Well said. Yes, opportunity for connecting globally and taking advantage of what is happening. That's why we bring panelists like this who are knowledgeable, seasoned, and trustworthy to our platform, so that if there's a need to follow up, our goal is to provide solutions to America and to Africa, starting with Nigeria in this case. So if you're listening and you're one of those people and you want to follow up with any of these panelists, please do so. Over to you, Roshanda. I'm not sure if there are some comments you want to render with that, but there's a specific question that somebody had asked that I would ask you first before I let others. So would you like to chime in on the question? Roshanda?
Hello. Yes. I'm here. Thank you.
Okay. We are not hearing you well. The connection is...
He's having problems with connection.
Yeah, it looks like we're not hearing you well at all, Roshanda. Maybe we'll... I don't even know if you're hearing us. Okay. We're not hearing you. So... Okay, we're not hearing you. We don't know if you're hearing us, but I will take a pass and go to the next question so that we can get some of the meat out to those who are here. You have said it so well, Honorable and Ms. Rolake, you've said it so beautifully that there are solutions that are out there. And of course, there is a need for us all to collaborate. I see Roshanda was having some technical.
For
Okay, she's still.
As
Oh my goodness.
If I can change areas and if that makes a difference.
Okay, we have not heard anything you've said in the past 3 minutes. So I'm not sure if you're hearing us. All right, so we will pass and come back to you. All right, so we've talked about solutions, solar, how the example you gave, Honorable, sticks in my head, how your model has been able to create 24/7 sustainable electricity for a university campus. It's a model. If you walk there, you should be able to walk elsewhere. Definitely you and Rolake will need to take this conversation offline to see how to collaborate, because she's doing some great stuff. You're doing some great stuff, Honorable. Let's make it work, and definitely we can talk about that offline. What is the quickest way to electrify Africa?
Thank you, Remy. Like I said, the energizing through off-grid solution is giving the desired result, and is so fast. And just, the gestation period for project initiation and commissioning is so short. And if you look at the numbers, the number of, communities, schools, markets that have been covered in the last, like 3 years when, the former REA CEO was there. That same strategy, because it is working very well, it is that homegrown solution that was found in Nigeria that is now being used in the United Nations. She is currently handling the energy, the energy supply part of power, and then the same strategy she has used in Nigeria is that same strategy that she is using right now for other less developed countries, and especially in African countries. Now, if that strategy works, I believe it should be embraced, it should be encouraged, and Rolake should work very closely with me. This is an opportunity for us to close the gap and work together. It's the main focus of the government in Nigeria, okay, to ensure that access to power, the dynamics of the landscape of access to power has moved to a new height, has moved to a new level, and the result is quite certain. So, Rolake, Rolanda, Roshanda, it's quite a good opportunity for us to collaborate together and then make a difference. Right now is the time. It can't be any better, especially with the huge impact that COVID-19 is having. I would say they call it pandemic, but I call it dangemic, because it is dangerous. So that's the way to go. The energizing strategy for off-grid options to power communities and commercial areas, estate developments is the way to go. It can't be any better.
Thank you so much, Honorable, for your great remarks. And over to you, Mr. Rolake, for your own comments also.
Yes, thank you, and thank you, Honorable, for those remarks. I think it's quite spot on. I'm quite familiar with the work that Ms. Damilola Ogunbiyi did here with RIA, and now that she's doing with SE for All and the UN. It's pretty remarkable how much they have achieved. And actually, when the Nigerian government recently released an economic sustainability plan in response to the COVID-19 crisis and the impact of the economy, one of the things it did, which I think actually endorses this whole trend of off-grid electrification, was commit to connecting 5 million homes to solar energy. And I think for me, that is a recognition that this needs to be at the center of the solution for energy access. I believe strongly, as Honorable has said, that the rapid deployment of solar solution has proven, particularly, I've worked on a project for one of my clients. So just to inform the audience, one of the things, I run a social enterprise here in Nigeria. It's called Inoside, and what we do is we incubate and we accelerate off-grid energy developers who want to refine their business plans, grow their businesses, and raise funding. And we recently have been involved in a project supporting one of our clients who was involved in electrification for emergency IC units and isolation centers. There's no way you would have found other solutions that could have responded as rapidly and be quite easily to mobilize and deploy as you did with some of their solar solutions. We're talking, 25 kVA systems, 40 kVA systems that can be rapidly deployed across multiple sites in a short space of time to meet the demand on hand. And it's as easy as, going in to conduct an energy audit, mapping the requirements. If you have your inventory or your stock, then you deploy. But here's the thing, I think the ability of companies that provide these new technologies to deploy also depends on other things. And I think regulation and incentives for the industry will be key. So things like, does our continent need to start thinking of the local manufacture of solar panels? Do we need to make it easier to import the parts that we do need from abroad? What are other hurdles in the business environment that we can remove that will make it easier for them to deploy those solutions within the confines of a country's policy or law? I think that is going to be quite crucial. But there is no question about their competitive nature in terms of ease of deployment. For the bigger grid-connected solar projects, it's things like the feed-in tariff structure. It's going to be things like the regulation and how long it takes to negotiate contracts and get government or stakeholder buying on these contracts. And I think having the support of DFIs, development finance institutions, who can provide guarantees or credit enhancements, for instance, to fund and project finance some of these important developments, I think will be quite key going forward.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Now I'm going to shift over to Roshonda. The DFC, of course, have been doing a lot of great things throughout this pandemic, COVID-19. I've been seeing you guys popping out great initiatives all over the continent and everywhere else. How do you see DFC playing a role in enhancing maybe the private sector who are developing the solar panels and doing all this great work? How can they be supported, and how can we bring such people to you through all these experts to see how the development of power solutions will continue?
Well, thank you for that, Remy. I hope my sound is better.
Yes.
I had to change areas in the house, but yeah, so again, my thought on this is that our primary role is to help those companies, those investors who have challenges accessing finance, as well as, maybe they're interested in political risk insurance, to help them secure funding from private investors. That's our role. We support those investors by providing them financing that, has a long tenure, that is usually more affordable than what you would find in the host country or just in a commercial market in general. And so we can lend between 50 up to $350 million. In some cases, for big projects like power projects and other infrastructure projects, we can even lend.
Sorry, Roshonda, you will need to take that again, please. We couldn't hear those figures, and I'm sure a lot of the participants want to hear it. You're breaking off again.
DFC. And we also, in those
Hey, Roshanda,
yes,
sorry,
so
we're not hearing you anymore. Hello?
Okay. Yeah,
Okay.
it just seems like I have a really bad connection.
Yeah, we would want you to either to please repeat those numbers of funding and financing.
Again, you know, we can lend between 50 and, we can lend between 50 and 75% of the total project costs, up to $350 million. And in some instances, we can even lend beyond that. We can increase our leverage for power projects, and we can also increase the amount that we commit to a project. So sometimes that's upwards of you know, $1 billion now is I think what the maximum amount is. Of course, that is, you know, for larger projects, but that is our way of supporting and helping improve connection in Africa, as well as power generation.
Right. Great. Thank you. A second part to that question that is here is how can DFC fund women to participate in the power sector? This is a question that I believe is worth answering, and maybe you can guide us to how to get the answer.
Yeah, so, you know, we do, what that is we have made a commitment to support projects that are owned by women, led by women, or that significantly, their products or services significantly benefit women. And so I believe that we have already surpassed our goal for what we would invest in Africa and other regions, but we continue to look for viable projects that are owned by women and that meet that criteria. And so for any woman that is on the line and has a project that is commercially viable, we would be interested in speaking with them, and we could potentially support them by providing a direct loan to them, again, up to $350 million or beyond. And we could also provide loan guarantees. So if they were to secure a loan in the local market or another financial institution, we could support, we could help them access that financing by providing a loan guarantee. So in the event that they were unable to service the debt, we would take on that responsibility. And so the application process is no different than for our other projects that, you know, are not 2X related. There's the same application process. So you would just apply online, and then, you know, the project would be assigned to a project team. They would do the review of the project and take it through the origination process. And I'm happy to speak offline with anyone who's interested in learning more about that program.
Sure. Thank you, Roshanda. Those are great nuggets. Clearly speaking, our participants are appreciating, even the panelists, I'm sure one or two things will tickle their fancy, and there will clearly be a follow-up for this. Thank you very much. Do panelists have any questions to rebuttal what Roshanda has said? Any thoughts floating through your mind that you want to chime in to our panelists? Honorable and Rolake, any questions or thoughts that comes to mind?
No, other than that, if you don't mind me just chiming in very briefly, I'm really glad to hear that the DFC is really looking at supporting female-led and female-owned enterprises, because obviously SDG 5 is also, you know, it's a really important part of it. I think on the ground, you know, we see some very specific challenges when it comes to credit access for women-owned businesses. And there are obviously several initiatives running across the board to try and improve that situation. We definitely need more champions. I have a couple of female-owned businesses in our accelerator. and I can see some of the dynamics that impact them specifically, but I think this is an issue that needs to be scaled up, obviously very rapidly, and look into the reasons why they're not able to access credit, right? I think if you look at some more fundamental things like equal rights here, things like access to collateral, women in some African countries owning land and having certain property, which they may not even be able to pledge to financial institutions. I think we need to work more, collaborate. We will helping to tackle those challenges that prevent women from accessing credit, whether that is external or within their specific businesses. So thank you for that, Rashanda.
Thank you, Rolake. Honorable, over to you. Comments? Let me unmute. Honorable. Honorable Idris. Okay, this.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, now we're hearing you. You were muted. We wanted you to chime in before we have a closing remarks. There's a lot of great questions popping up that I want you all to answer.
I just wanted to say that Rashanda should extend my kind regards to Andy Haskowitz. He's such a great guy doing great work for Africa, doing great work for Power Africa and the United States government. And now is the time for us to close the gap regarding, encouraging investments for off-grid solutions to enable access to power in Africa. Please give him my regards. He's such a wonderful guy doing a great job for the world. Regarding energy access, he has done quite a huge job that no one has done that I can remember. Congratulations. Tell him that it really says he should keep the good job going on. And now is the time for us to work closely and change lives. Thank you, Rashanda.
Awesome. Thank you, Honorable, for those kind comments. I'm sure Rashanda will pass on the message. Thank you very much. I wanted to give each and every one of us a 2-minute closeout so that we can answer a lot of great questions that are in the chat box. I want you guys to chime in so nobody leaves without their questions answered. So please, for quick 2-minute, tell us what you haven't already told us so we can close it out and ask the questions that these participants have asked that are beautifully written that I know you have answers to, so they don't leave without their answers. So Rashanda, you want to start the closeout for us? Just closing remarks on your end before we go to the question and answers.
Okay. Well, great.
We cannot hear you again. Technology. Okay. Okay, we're not hearing you, Rashanda.
So, it's been great participating. I've enjoyed listening to the comments by the other panelists, and I've learned a great deal. Okay. I don't know. Is that better, Remy?
It's starting to be sounding better.
Really bad reception here.
Yeah, it's a very bad reception. We can barely hear anything you say.
Okay.
We heard that you learned a lot from the panelists and all that good stuff. So let me take it over to Ms. Rolake also for her closeout so we can have time to answer the questions that I believe are worth answering because all of our participants have taken time out of their schedule. So Rolake, please go ahead and give us a 1 or 2 minute closing remarks.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Gile, for this opportunity. I think the main thing I want to leave with everybody is that, look, the energy transition is in full swing. We can't deny the reality of the impact of falling oil prices on economies that are dependent on oil as a commodity, which means, we need to shift our focus to other sources. And we will create more jobs for our economies, we'll create more sustainable economies if we invest in alternative form energies. some of the research done by Sustainable Energy for All, which Ms. Damilola Ogumbi heads, shows that for every $1,000 spent in off-grid electricity, you're creating 25 jobs, 25 new jobs. So imagine that at scale. So this is really a very, very important issue, and I look forward to working with all stakeholders collaborating to make this a reality. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Honorable Idris.
Yes, thank you for having me, and to Rashanda and Roleke and Remy. What I can say from the minister's desk is that we look forward to working with investors who are interested in renewable energy projects, especially the off-grid option, which is currently receiving over 80% of the minister's attention. A lot is going on in Nigeria, and within the next 12 months, that's like 1 year, a lot will change in Nigeria regarding the off-grid option to power supply. A lot is going on, but we will need a lot of financial support, funding support from DFC. I know that's why I gave a special message to Andy. Kanda would work very closely. We are quite open. Our honorable minister has met with the American ambassador in Nigeria. We're looking forward to a mutually beneficial relationship that will encourage business in renewable energy, off-grid option. We're waiting for that, and we're ready.
All right. Thank you so much. Roshanda, can we hear your closing remarks? I don't know if you have a better connection now.
Okay, I hope that's okay.
Yes.
Thank you for your patience, and everyone on the line. I don't know why it's so difficult today, but yeah, just in closing, I've enjoyed everyone that I've heard on the panel, and I'm would be glad to connect with you afterwards. And for the listeners, if you have projects that you think may be a fit for the DFC, please reach out and connect with me. Basically, we're just looking for commercially viable projects throughout the continent, and that will help connect people to electricity or increase the capacity of power generation. So thank you all, and I look forward to talking to you afterwards.
Thank you so much. You have been always ready for us. You were part of the Commerce After COVID, and guess what? They're more serious. Like I said before, this is not a one-off thing. We're not just doing this just to talk and feel important. We're creating a network that we can follow up and provide solutions. And we have Honorable Idris Mohammed, who I've worked with in other capacity. We have Ms. Rolake Akinkunmi-Filani, who I've worked with in several capacities, and I know they are doers. So the whole idea is to bring reputable people who maybe you might not have heard of or might not know to the table, so that solutions can be provided, because it's all about solutions right now. It's not just talking. This is the playing field is level right now. The whole world shut down. Nobody was exempted. So this is the time to reset for all of us. And I'm so glad that you're always ready whenever we call. And stay ready. We're coming back with Oliver Twist. Thank you very much. So I will go to our participants. If I don't say I appreciate you, then that will be so ungrateful of me, because I know you could be doing several greater things right now. A few of you didn't show up, but we still love you anyway. But those who showed up, I'm sure that it's been worth your time. And that's what it's all about. It's not just in the numbers, it's in the quality that you get and what you do with it. I mean, you have fine panelists here today. Ms. Rolake Akinkunmi-Filani, Honorable Idris Mohammed, and Roshanda Johnson, these are people who are not just talkers, they are doers. So you have access to them to see how can we make these things work. So if anything that they've said has caught your interest and you need to follow up, email them, reach out to them. If you can't get them, let us know. That's our goal, to bring people together for solutions, not just for show and tell. So over to my questions. that I have in the chat box. So participants, we appreciate you. I see a lot of you captains of industry on the line. Oh my goodness. Oh my God, wow, this is exciting. All of you are powerhouses. So I know you're going to take this message loud and clear as I start reading your questions. Some of you, your things are pending and now you have solutions right on this panel. So I want to start from a question from Graciela Blackstone, my sister from another mother. There is a way to have green energy that also addresses the air pollution from current energy operations. Are you familiar with the air pollution of Africa with energy? I don't know if you have the answers, fine. If you don't, we'll get back with them. Don't feel under pressure for anything. So does anybody have that answer? If not, we'll get back with them.
Thank you for that question. I don't have the specific answer, and I'm trying to unpack the question a bit. And maybe she can clarify, is what she's referring to with regards to CO2 emissions specifically? Because if it's CO2 emissions, then if we look back over the last, say, couple of years, I think at 2017 for the African continent as a whole, it was probably like 6 billion tons per annum. Having said that, it pales in comparison to the emissions from the global north. So the more industrialized countries that have more energy intensive industries such as manufacturing, large scale industry, etc. But what we do know obviously is that Africa's carbon footprint is the lowest in the world, but as a continent, Africa suffers the most from the effects of climate change, if you're a believer. And I'd like to believe that we are all believers. I may be wrong, I'm not assuming. But it's about 6 billion tons per annum, which was the figure I last saw for 2017 with regards to CO2 emissions. I don't know if that's what she means by pollution. The final thing I will say is that I work as an advisor to IFU, the Danish Investment Fund, and one of the areas that we're looking at investment in is investing in gas flare monetization. As you know, gas flares pollute the environment, so we're really keen on looking at climate mitigation projects that break down CO2 emissions. So that's an interesting emerging area of investment. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rolake, for that in-depth answer. If that has not answered all your questions, shoot us go back to the chat box, we'll get back with you. The next question says, how do we keep the greed factor, big energy developers, from blocking the scale up by preventing energy distribution without going through their energy greed? That has scaled down solar expansion. That's part of a question. Is there a strategic program to teach people how to make their own solar panels? Honorable Idris, I wanted to start with you on that, if there's some pointers that you want to raise there.
Yes, I think areas that investors should really look at are areas of, manufacturing solar panels and accessories locally, so that can boost to a reasonable level, employment levels, and then the technical and skills transfer would also be effectively done in a way that when such factories are operating locally, then the issues of downtime, even for installations of the solar panels and the off-grid solutions, would be reduced to the barest minimum. If it takes a much longer time, like 30 days now, to construct like 8 megawatt off-grid power plant, it will reduce the downtime to like 2 weeks or probably less, and that will be quite remarkable. There's nothing anyone can do about the monopoly of the grid system. The grid system is certainly the industrial solution, and then no one can tamper with the grid. And that is why we are encouraging that, okay, why don't you go off-grid? The regulation encourages you to do your business in a much more transparent manner, in a much faster manner. So why don't you look at that option? Why do you want to go off-grid? Like Rolake has said, issues of pricing of electricity tariff, negotiating the tariff. In Nigeria, up to now as we speak, tariff has not yet been decided. 4 years after, investors have invested so much in Nigeria, the government had agreed for a tariff, and then because the cost of solar installations is dropping worldwide at an alarming rate, at an incredible rate, up till now, those tariffs have not been finally negotiated. So why don't you go off-grid? That's the way to go.
All right. Go off-grid. That's the way to go. I'm echoing Honorable right there. So our next thoughts here is we have women-owned, Graciela Gladstone, women-owned and currently merging business between U.S. and Africa, looking for assistance. You've got it now. You don't need to look any further. So you've got the assistance you need. With this great people, we can make things happen. Another question from Charles Elisha. I think collaboration will be much better instead of competition and individuality. I 100% agree with you. One would chase 1,000, two would chase 10,000. That's what one of the holy books says. So that works all the time. And we bring people that we trust and that we know can deliver to our platform. Like Honorable said, anything that we're part of, our integrity is all we have. Anything that we're part of has to be for results orientation. If it's not, we're not interested. And we're continually screening who we bring to our space because we know our followers would instantly trust whoever we bring to our space. So I hear you, collaboration is the way to go. And if there's any interest in collaboration, you've got the finest panelists in the world who are doers, not just talkers. Because there's a difference. Some people can talk and they cannot do, but we do not go near those people. With all due respect, we believe that there's a lot of work that needs to be done here in the world, especially in Africa. So we don't have time to just do a talk shop. Okay, our company is ready to work with you and the panelists. We are ready to work with everybody in a fair manner and transparent manner. We are so ready. This was an exceptional quality and very informative. Oh, thank you for your compliments, Madam President of the 100 Black Women. That is so special coming from you. I'm reading down. Thank you. Nice to see Rashonda here again. Rashonda, you are being appreciated. It's like we follow you everywhere. She has been a great resource person we work with here. Yes, she is amazing. And I know their whole team is amazing. It starts from the top. Honorable Idris Mohammed was complimenting the leader of their agency, and I guess it all falls down. They have a great team. So Rashonda, we appreciate you all. Keep up the good work. Keep aligning with little people like us who have big hearts and know good people, and we will find solutions to the world's problem. Another question or comment says, thank you, nice. Okay, I already read that. Another question from Graciela Blackstone. I was referring, okay, this is the clarity that Rolake had requested. The question that you answered earlier, the person said, I was referring to gas flare. Thank you. I have a solution, okay, that actually utilizes the flare gas as fuel. This is a wonderful and informed group. Okay, so I guess she's just agreeing with what you said, that that was the way to go. And somebody says, thank you, Remy. Oh, thank you for thanking me. This is a passion for me to find solutions and to add value. So I should be thanking you for seeing value in what we think will be valuable. So thank you. So for coming when we call you, we appreciate it. They are appreciating all the panelists. This is not just me appreciating you all. Our event finishes at 10:30. And one thing we try to do is we try our very best to start on time and to finish on time. As much as we want to drag it on, we know the time factor. You cannot replace time. All these professionals had to block out 90 minutes of their time in their life that can never be given back. So for this, we say thank you to each and every one of you. For all the participants too that gave of their time, we say thank you to all of you. And for those who have follow-up needs, that's what we're here for. This is not a one-off. We have a team that we are creating, and we have our network so that now we can pick up the phone and call Ms. Rolake Akikugbe-Filani. We can pick up the phone and call Honorable Idris Mohammed. We can pick up the phone and call Roshana and many, many others who can lead us to the right path. Because we need each and every one of us to have our hands on deck for this power solution. I mean, when we were doing this, we did a little research. A report says that ESI in Africa states that the energy sector in sub-Saharan Africa can become 100% renewable by 2050. I didn't write it, leading to lower energy costs, better health and environment, and the number of direct energy jobs in Africa increasing from 1.2 to 5 million in 2050, with its main driving force, which is electrification and cheaper renewables. Exactly why we made this our business. That is one of the SDG goals we are relentlessly going to pursue, to be part of the conversations, to bring those experts who know what they're talking about so that we can provide solutions. Because how can we live without power? Nobody, it's so, I can't even fathom that. And some people, they are living without power. So thanks to what Honorable Idris Mohammed and the minister, Honorable Minister, and the President of Nigeria is doing to create that 24/7 non-stop power. I can't forget that. That's in my head, especially in a college. I love my students. I'm a professor too. If they have the power, they can do much more. So for you to have that model, we can replicate it. And Ms. Rolake, to what Ino today is doing, I just look at these people, I'm like, wait a minute. You're already so busy professionally, solving problems, helping other people, and now you create time out of no time to have a non-for-profit where you're helping those who have passion for power provision, no matter how big or small they are, to hold their hands, guide them, and lead them to the path of righteousness in the area of whether be it finance or better packaging. These are given people. So for me personally, I'm humbled that I'm engaged with you. And Roshanda, I know the types of companies that you probably would say yes to are the big and mighty. We're not big and mighty, but we are impactful. We are an American-owned company, and we are doing our part. But every time we call, you come. You show up big time. So we say thank you. But guess what? Results will come from this network. And you will be able to attest to the fact that, yes, we are not so huge, but we have a huge heart for development. So I want to say thank you to each and every one of you. I can go on and on and on because I'm so excited right now that at least for most of us, we've seen value in this. And not only that, we are following up. Trust me, Roshanda, we need a follow-up strategy meeting between the three of us. I mean, when I say three of us, the other two panelists and you and us, so we can strategize. How can we bring this good news that you're saying DFC has, so we can have a Zoom call for a strategy call? Rolake, does that sound like a winner, Honorable? Does that sound like something that we can do as a follow-up to do a Zoom strategy call that Roshanda can set up for us and keep the ball rolling? They're all agreeing, Roshanda, so when I set it up, you're going to honor us and make sure we have the right people in the room so we have this conversation going. Thank you to each and every one of you. Our meeting is adjourned right now. We appreciate you. We're excited, and stay tuned. The strategy call will be amongst the panelists and OPIC. And of course, as we do the strategy call, we can, of course, engage any of our participants that feel led to be part of it. Thank you all so much. Blessings.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you all very much for your time. Appreciate you participating. I can't see your beautiful faces, but I appreciate you all. Thank you. Thank you, Deborah, for coming. Bye. Thank you, everyone. Blessings. Bye. Thank you, Sherry. Wow, thank you all very much. I'm just seeing the names of the attendees. Thank you. Aisha. Thank you. Oh, there's a person raising their hand with a question. Who else? Who is still on? Let me see.
I'm here.
Please don't leave, Honorable. I just saw a hand being raised. Let me see. Hand raising. You need to put your question in the chat box, please, someone that raised their hand. I still have Honorable Mohammed on the line, and I have Rashonda. If you want to please put your question, they are waiting. We have another 2-3 minutes. Please kindly put it in the chat box. And they are waiting patiently to answer the question. Okay, here's another question. Can the state mandate a saturation point for solar prior to granting solar exclusivity agreement? I don't know if that will be a question, but we can follow up. When you say state, I'm assuming state as in America. I'm sure the Honorable can speak to state in Nigeria, but not for the American end. So we will get back with you on those questions. They are asked for a reason. Oh, Rashonda, did you have a answer? Did you have comments to chime in?
No,
on that
I don't have
okay.
an answer for that. Thank you.
Exactly, I didn't think. We will get back with you. Are we missing any other question? So I can let the Honorable go about his busy day. All right, thank you, Honorable, for hanging in there. We really appreciate you. I'll call you offline so we can get the ball rolling. Thanks for all you do. Thanks to the Honorable Minister. Thanks to our President, who is making a lot of great things happen. We are so excited and looking forward to resetting Nigeria back like every other nation in the world for such a time as this. And you can enlist Image Consulting Group and Legacy Premier Foundation as your partner, because we are determined to make a difference and make an impact, not just in America, also in Africa, with primary focus in Nigeria, my home country. God bless you all. Goodbye. Thank you. I appreciate you all.